Welcome on board, ladies and gentlemen, on our on-air podcast today. Skies are not just for flying, are for storytelling. So I will start and take you on a journey behind the scenes of a 38,000 feet with Alexa. And today we have with us Alex from Etihad joining us for our new podcast, telling us story behind 38,000 feet. How are you, Alex?
Hello, Alexa. Hello, Vran. I'm very good. Thank you very much. And it's weird because we have the same name, right?
Right.
Alexandra and Alex. Or Alexandru, rather, because we're both Romanians. And you are Alexandra. Similar names and similar stories. I work for Etihad Airways, so it's a different company, but with a lot of similarities to Emirates, to Dubai, right? Abu Dhabi, Dubai, neighbors. Our companies also are neighbors, Etihad and Emirates. So I've been working in this airline for quite a while. It's been around 8 years so far, and yeah, it's been great. It's good to be part of this podcast, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. As you said, we are neighbors, as I'm in Dubai and you are in Abu Dhabi. And of course, our airlines are quite partners, right? We will work along next to each other. So tell me, how was your first experience when you started working for Etihad?
I don't know. I mean, back then it was
Like,
definitely different. My first experience. I mean, I came here in 2016
wow.
in Abu Dhabi in UAE, and I would say it was a bit of a different landscape. Obviously, I was new. Everything was super exciting for me. You know, the job itself and the city itself. When I first saw the skyscrapers around here, even the ones in Abu Dhabi, obviously they're way smaller than the ones in Dubai, but still taking a tour of the city, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I live in such a cosmopolitan and cool place, right? And that was my first impression back then. I used to have a friend, he made a tour of the city with me, and I was like, okay, I'm in a cool place. And by the way, it was hot. It was hot as hell. It was during the beginning of the summer when I first came here, and it was just super hot. And still, summer times I just cannot get used to it. They're just too much. But now that winter time is coming, everything is obviously gonna be much better, right?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, for me, winter season are the best time spent in Dubai anyway. I would like to ask you, what was the difference when you moved from Romania to Abu Dhabi? As you said, it was such a cosmopolitan environment. So how was this experience hitting you from the first time?
Well, from Romania, from a smaller town that I am in, to a big, a big city like Abu Dhabi, it's obviously a big difference, and the people are so diverse here, right? I mean, back home, you just have one nationality, and that's basically it. And most of the countries that people are from, right, there's only one nationality, but here there's like 150 of them. There's people from all over the world, and you have to have a common ground with them, right, in order to live comfortably. So it's very interesting to be able to relate to other nationalities and to get to know people generally speaking. So yeah, it's definitely a big change, I would say, just from that point of view. But also the whole environment, being a Muslim country as well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that you have to be considerate of, right? We come from Europe, we are drinking nonstop all day and stuff like that. I mean, not me, but you know what I mean. So it's just a different landscape, and you have to be respectful,
True.
especially when you come out here to UAE. So
That's true. You are perfectly right. Do you think, like, before you enter in a new country, like in a new environment, new culture, new religion, do you think you should study before or to have just a bit information about it? Or what's your point of view about that?
absolutely, like before I came to UAE, I informed myself, like, okay, this is the country I'm gonna be in, and what are the regulations? How should I act? Should I be maybe a bit more conservative, and so on and so forth. The problem is many people, they come to UAE from different parts of the world, and they not to say they don't adjust, but they find it more difficult because they're used to a certain type of behaviors maybe back at home, and they don't adjust after arriving in UAE. So then they find it difficult. Oh, this is so weird. It's not my thing, and I want to go back home. you have some people in Germany, they're sunbathing naked, so you have that going on, right?
Yeah,
But you
that's
cannot really do
true.
that in UAE. So that's one of the things to consider when it comes to moving in UAE. But overall, I would say this: it is not as conservative as people think. It's way more chill and more accepting of everything. So um, yeah, I would say just do your homework before you come, and that's what I did. And I knew I'm not gonna be here with the family,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Because you
true.
move away from the family, you move away from your friends back home. So that's a totally different experience, and people should know that. Not come in Dubai and, oh, after 3 months I miss my mommy, I want to go back home. It's not the way it works. You have to make sacrifices in order to have a better life, and you came here for a better life. So sorry, I'm a bit rambling about this, but I
No,
get
no
you.
worries.
You get
That's
my
perfectly
point.
right. I think, but as your profession as being a cabin crew, right, for one of the largest airline in the world, how do you deal with the homesickness when you are working abroad, especially during holidays? Because, as Romanians, we truly appreciate these moments during Christmas or New Year Eve, or maybe Easter. We like to be together with the family. So how do you deal with this?
That's true. That's true. Well, you just have to cope with it, to be honest, because family will not always be there for you, and you can talk, right? You can talk by voicemail. You can talk by video. You can try to make up for it, although it is not working the way it should. It's still you have that component you're missing, your family, right? That is not present physically there. So it's still hard, I guess, to cope with it. But at the end of the day, you have to make sacrifices and you have to adjust, right? Video calls, voice calls, and so on and so forth, just to be able to mitigate. And if you can go home, you have the opportunity to go home, or you have the opportunity for your parents and your family to come here to the UAE. That's also a plus. So yeah, that's the way to cope with it, I guess.
Yeah, I believe it's the same even for me. I'm trying to manage my time and my flights. When I have like the free time or days off, I try to go back to Romania, even
Hmm.
though I didn't visit for quite a year for now, because I was quite busy. But I think you can manage, and it's important to keep your connection with your family and friends back home and stay true with your cultural and tradition that it makes you in the end, right?
Absolutely. But it's weird because when I came here, like, now we have all this information going online about the life here, and people come to UAE with much more of a confidence, let's say, with much more confidence than it used to be. Because when I came to UAE, it was none of this, right? We,
Yeah,
we didn't
right. It was
have any of
different.
this.
Yes,
We
that's true.
just came here without most of the info. I just researched things from forums, online forums. That's what you had back then. There was no YouTube channels
No
talking
more
about it. There was no
TikToks.
Instagram, TikTok, right? There was no such
Yeah,
a thing. So I mean, there was, but very limited information. So most of the things you get from forums and things of this nature, right, online. But now all the infos are out there, so you just have to go with the flow and find what's right for you, I guess.
that's true. That's true. It's completely right. Let's talk about our profession as a cabin crew, because everyone is curious about what's happening behind the scenes, right?
Right, right, correct.
So I would like to ask you, what's the most advantage of being a cabin crew? What do you see and other people don't see in the same time?
Well, first of all, it is a challenging job, so don't get me wrong. It is a challenging job, but I would say overall, for a young person in, I don't know, their 20s, their early 30s, is one of the best things to do. Is one of the best jobs in the world. And why is that? Because you get the opportunity to travel, you get the opportunity to meet a lot of people and to make connections and to earn a good paycheck, right? And you're doing that while you're traveling, so it's an added bonus, right? So you know you can enrich your Instagram feed
That's
um,
true.
by doing your job, basically. And if you are, let's say, a bit customer service wired, then you will find it easy, let's say. So I would say this is the best part of it, just traveling to all those beautiful destinations, beautiful places, cities. I recently just, I came from Maldives.
Oh,
So
it was
that
lovely.
was absolutely great. I got the suntan, but the suntan already passed. By the way, guys, I'm getting tanned and then back to cheese in a couple of days. So um,
Well, it happens very often, right? Because it's same with me when I go to Mauritius or Seychelles. We go there frequently, so it's the same thing. But one time I went to Mauritius and it was fully cloudy outside, and I said, "Oh, I'm not gonna wear
yeah,
sunscreen or something." I
yeah,
just went. It was like cloudy, and when I came back to my room, I was like a lobster.
you still get roasted. Yeah.
I was like a lobster. I was like, oh my God, how can I operate my flight back? You know, the good thing is about the makeup and hiding, but yeah, that's true.
Oh, my worst was in I was in Melbourne. I had the flight to Melbourne and we had the layover there like 2 days. And after the flight, I went to the beach. We had a hotel just across the beach, very nice location, Saint Kilda Beach, by the way. And I just went there on the beach side. I put a blanket there and I just sit in the sun for a bit, and I fall asleep. And
No.
I woke up like 2.5 hours later, and my skin felt so tight, like roasted. And I didn't see like I'm tanned or anything. I look at myself, I didn't see myself being tanned. Went back to the hotel room, I saw I'm kind of pink, like
You're
like a
pinkish.
flamingo. And then it just got worse and worse, and my skin felt like ugh, crazy. So the flight back was not pleasant at all. Let me tell you that. And it's a 14 hours flight,
Oh,
right?
yes, right.
That was a bit too much. But yeah, honestly, as well, I don't really prefer those flights. I prefer shorter flights.
Really, I
Yeah,
love long
you love
flights.
long flights,
Yes.
like the ultra long ones.
Yes, it's easier. Like you have time for the service, you have time to interact with people. It's you have rest between than just running in the cabin and during the service and like on the runway. You're just doing service, and I think we have more time when you are in a long flight.
That's true, and the pay is good because we are usually paid for flying hours. But I don't know. I just feel like I'm stuck in that aircraft for way too long, and it just feels like, especially if you cannot get your rest, your legal flight on board. Sometimes it's hard to fall asleep on the plane, even as a cabin crew. Right? You are tired, but you still cannot fall asleep. And if that happens, good luck to you, because it's
But it happens to you, like usually?
um I would say mostly I do sleep on board,
Okay.
right, during our rest time. But sometimes mishaps can happen, and you don't fall asleep, and that's a 14-hour duty only in the air, plus on ground and so on and so forth. You reach 20 hours of not sleeping, non-sleep, right? It's crazy. It's a lot for a cabin crew. But that's why usually I prefer the 7-hour, 8-hour flights.
No, honestly, me, I always manage to sleep in the plane during the long flights.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just got there in 5 minutes. I passed out, and I love it when it's turbulence. I know it's quite weird, but
Yeah.
when the turbulence happen, I'm in the bed like this, shaking like a baby. It's even more better.
Yeah, to be honest, sometimes with turbulence you sleep even better.
Yeah,
It's weird, and but some people, some passengers, obviously they kind of freak out. I don't like turbulence and so
yeah,
on and
it's
so
true.
forth. But it all depends. If you're a frequent flyer, maybe you'll find turbulence more comforting than not, right?
So you were saying about our lifestyle as a cabin crew, like traveling and being paid for it. Like this is true. Like people from outside, they see this type of things on a daily basis. Honestly, from all the sources like social media, TikTok, YouTube. But what's something that people they don't know about us?
I don't know. Like most of the times we are alone.
That's
I don't
true.
know. Maybe it's my experience, but a lot of experiences from different crews, but I think most of the times we're alone because and that's fine actually. Many times that's okay, but it's more of a lonely job than people think about. It's more of a lonely job than people give credit for. Um, because you finish your duty, you feel like you want to be left alone from all the customer service that you already done, and you interacted with all those people. You want your alone time, but you might spend 3 days like that, and it's just weird because maybe your friends have a different flight and you cannot actually see each other. Maybe you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, and you haven't seen them for 2 weeks because your flights are just different and your rest days are different. So that makes it a bit hard to have that interaction and that relationship. It's just a job that you're living out of your suitcase all the time, and that makes it hard to have a stable life. And as I said, it kind of makes you lonely at times.
It makes you feel lonely because it's weird because we are traveling in all corners of the world. So imagine you have like 500 passengers on the way there, 500 on the way back. It's like 1,000 people and plus your crew. And it's so hard to make connection. And in the end of the day, you are lonely. It's true, like your friends are on the other flights, your parents are back home. So it makes it hard for us sometimes.
No, I agree. It does. And some people, they cope with it in quite a hard manner. And some people become depressed from this job. So, it's very interesting to see because you would say, oh, how can you be depressed? You're traveling to all these places and all of that stuff. And you earning a relatively good paycheck, right? So how can you be depressed? But some people get there. Fortunately, I'm okay. So far, so good. But other people are not as strong when it comes to this mental fortitude. So that can be challenging. And everybody has ups and downs,
Yes.
including me. I had many ups and downs as well. But at the end of the day, you just have to keep your head above water, right?
Yes.
Keep your head in the air, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when people give you a hard time, what's your one advice that you should tell people, your colleagues or passengers, for the next flights? Like to be more thoughtful, more mindful when it comes to the cabin crew, how they treat them. What's something that came to mind?
Do you mean like passengers?
Yes,
Okay.
passenger or even colleagues, because sometimes we are flying with different nationalities, they are different culture as well, and I don't know for you guys how is it if it's more often for you to meet with the same crew, but for us we never meet again because we are like now 25,000 crew. So it's very hard to have the same crew twice. So you at least the way they work, they know the way they behave in the aircraft or on the plane or under stress, because sometimes it happens. You are tired, you are jet lagged, or maybe something's going on back home. You never know. We are human after all. So what's one advice for all the people on a plane during a flight?
I don't know. It's just you have to be understanding about other cultures and the way that other people are raised, and just adjust yourself according to that. Sometimes it's not easy because, first of all, maybe you misunderstand what people say because of different accents and different ways that they express themselves, and that goes both ways. That both goes for both ways, for crew and for passengers. And if you have misunderstandings, then you thought you know one thing, but it's actually another thing, and then you can have issues on board, right? And those things can escalate. You can have arguments, right, with
Yes.
passengers, with your fellow crew, and you want to avoid that. So you just have to adjust yourself and ask again, what do you mean?
Exactly.
What do you mean? Like, we're all so different and we come from different backgrounds. So if you don't do that, you might end up having issues, right?
Right. Sometimes it's just one question that you have to ask and make things clear. I think the communication is the key between our colleagues and our passengers as well. What's a common misconception about cabin crew that comes in your mind and you want to change it?
If I say that, we have to cut this whole podcast.
No, you have to be honest. People are curious what's happening about our lives, honestly.
A misconception about cabin crew. Okay, a misconception about cabin crew is that it's just a glamorous job and there's, we're just walking in the airport and we just look pretty and stuff, right?
Right.
That's completely wrong, right?
Right.
Because the job itself is tough. The job is tough. And okay, first of all, it's manual labor. I mean, labor, that sounds a bit harsh. It's a manual kind of work, right? You're working with your body, you're working with your hands, and you're doing manual tasks. I wouldn't say it's a job in which you will use your brains too much. I mean, you kind of do in a certain way, SOPs and your operations and your safety manuals and stuff like that. So you use a bit of brain there, but most of the job itself is manual. And yes, sometimes you have to pay attention with what you're doing on board, either in the galley, safety, security procedures, and so on and so forth. But it's not that glamorous in a way that it's a real job and it takes a lot of effort. And also, most of the time we are tired. Okay, maybe not most, but a lot of the times we are tired, we are cranky, right? And we're always chasing that next sleep. our sleep patterns are absolutely destroyed. So um, it's not easy overall. It's not easy overall. For example, today I woke up at 2 p.m. and I slept around 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. And that's a 7 hour sleep. It's fine, but it's a very weird sleeping pattern, right? And last day I woke up at 4 p.m. So it's just a bit weird. Right now I'm in a pattern in which I'm sleeping during the day or the early morning, and I'm waking up late afternoon. That's not very healthy, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's not.
So I would say one misconception about our life is it's not only glamour and traveling and things of this nature, but it's actually trying to cope with our jet lag, with our sleeping patterns, and overall, it's not an easy job. And people have to understand this before applying and becoming a cabin crew. They have to understand it takes effort, and it's a bit harder than they think, right?
All right.
Yeah.
For me, the only thing that upset us is the people have this idea about us that we are waitress in the sky. I don't know
Yes.
if you heard it before, but I think we should have more credit for that because we are going through a very intense training before starting, and then every year we have our recurrent, which is the renewal of aviation. So we go again through some exams, and if we don't pass them, it means you are not fit for this job and you are sent back home, right? So imagine we are so trained in when it comes to the safety operations, when it comes to medical cases, even sometimes security. Aviation security is a very huge thing in
Yeah.
aviation nowadays. It takes very seriously, and people are thinking, oh, we are just waitress in the sky, like serving chicken and beef or a diet coke, which I don't think is true. Honestly, for us, they don't see these things because I know we don't do evacuation every day, you know.
We don't do evacuation every day, but we're prepared to do evacuation
Yes,
every day, right?
exactly. I
So
think, God forbid, this moment will come. All of us, we are aware and we're going to handle the situation and we can save all the lives on board. But I would like people to change this mentality about us, to have a different point of view when it comes to cabin crew, because we are also humans. And as you said, we are far from the family. We live in a different culture, in a different environment. So even for us, it's hard sometimes because of the jet lag, or you never know, situation that come on board on your daily basis as well, right?
yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I actually made a YouTube video about this topic of being a waitress in the sky. And obviously we do serve your diet coke and everything, and
Yeah.
your meal on board, but that's a small part of what we do on a daily basis. And the most important thing for our passengers, right, Alexandra, is to be there for their safety and to make them adhere to our safety regulations, and that's our primary job, right, as a cabin crew. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
on point.
We are there to look nice, and be smiling at them, but in the same time, we are responsible for their safety from the moment they are boarding until the landing. When they disembark the aircraft. I would like to create awareness for our passengers when it comes to the safety on board. We
Hmm.
have some procedures before takeoff or after even sometimes. So before takeoff, we are during boarding stage, right?
Right.
We know in Emirates what we do, what's the procedure, but I want to hear you in Etihad when the boarding starts. What's the most important thing on the boarding phase?
During boarding or before boarding?
No, like during boarding, when
During boarding.
passengers are coming on board.
For example, one thing, and I think we have this in common, right? It's observing passengers themselves to be able to identify if, for example, we have a sick passenger, a passenger that's intoxicated. And why do I say that? Because if that happens, you don't want to fly with those passengers. We want to maybe offload them in case it is, an advanced or a bad case. So you have to be able to spot those things. Also, if somebody is not feeling good, can we do something about it before we fly? Can we do something about it before we are in the air? Because once you are in the air, situation can get from bad to worse. And obviously you have people, with a lot of medical cases, they can lose their life. So that's one of the things we do during boarding, right?
Yes.
We try to spot our passengers for those kind of safety issues, and for them to adhere to and this is the way you'll have a successful flight, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's the most important
That's
stage
the
of the
most
flight.
important thing. Yeah.
Boarding, because as you said, someone can be sick and we can take off with that passenger, and God forbid we can divert to another country, and it means delaying for other passengers and also for us.
Yeah.
So it's very crucial that moment for us to be aware what's happening in the cabin, right?
Also, during boarding, I mean, you have to try to mitigate. How do you say this? Mitigate.
Mitigate, like to
Yeah.
make connection with the passenger.
Yeah. So during boarding, you can try to mitigate, where the passengers will be seated at. Some flights, some of the cultures, let's say, of passengers we have on board, maybe they don't speak English, so they don't really know numbers or where to sit. We have this on board sometimes on certain sectors, although you would say that's impossible, Alex. How is this possible? Well, as I said, maybe there's some 80 or 90-year-old people traveling with us, quite old individuals. So they need some help in order to find their seat, for example. It's just a small thing we do on boarding, right?
So as a cabin crew, you should have more patience and to adjust to any type of customer, right?
Yeah.
Because as you said, people are coming on board, they never been on the aircraft before, or they never been to our aircraft, which are huge aircraft. As you know, we have A380 and 777. So it's a huge aircraft, and people, they don't know, maybe they are tired, maybe they are lost, just like this. So you have to show them and point them and be a bit mindful with them, because that's our job in the end. I think there is no cabin crew in the world being rude or they don't want to do their job, right?
Absolutely. And that's how you show your customer service skills anyways.
For me, boarding is so important, especially when I'm there on the aisle and I'm greeting everyone. It's like, hi, how are you? Welcome on board, and I think in that moment you create connection from between you and your passenger, which is very important during the flight, because it happens sometimes, when we have the situation, of like chicken or beef and you run out of the meal choice, they will not be that harsh on you. I think that's my personal experience. Honestly, I never had an issue with the passenger. Everyone was very nice. Till now, I'm like 3 years already flying. Another safety related I want to talk about, to explain to the people, when we are securing the cabin for takeoff and landing, you go to the passenger and you tell them to sit, to upright your seat, and people's like, why? I want to stay comfortable, I was sleeping. Why do you think we do that? Can you explain them why we do that?
Well, first of all, putting the seat upright before landing and after, before takeoff, of course, that has to do with the safety aspect. So, and it is for people not to block the exit out of the seats themselves. Right. So if every seat is upright, then you have a clear pathway through the aisle and through for the exit, for the emergency exit. So it's much faster. If everybody has their seat reclined during landing and whatever, if you have an emergency, then it's harder to exit those seats, because you get stuck in those seats because they're reclined. So it's one of the things that you have to be mindful. The same thing with the window blinds, right?
Right. That's for us mostly. Most of the time, we have to be aware of outside condition in case of, I don't know, emergency landing or maybe precautionary disembarkation. We need to see what's happening outside. So that is a very important tool for us, to have all the window blinds open so I can see what's happening.
Exactly.
But people, they're like, no, I don't want. It's a
very
light
bright. Yeah, it's very bright outside.
I was like, true. I'm sorry, but I have to do it. That's a safety reason that we do it. In the same thing, we have the on the floor, nothing on the floor, like loose object, because same in case like an emergency or evacuation, everything has to be clean on the path so people, they can evacuate faster, right?
Exactly.
So I know sometimes you're struggling with the parents, especially because they are with the kids and they have the toys, the food and everything, like they don't have space, but we try to manage because it's also important for them and for us in case of safety reason, right?
Yeah, correct. And also actually I wanted to ask you this, during boarding, how do you deal with the oversized bags that has to be in the hat rack, and then guests, right, the passengers asking you, okay, can you put my bag up? And as a flight attendant, right, we have certain things going on about this. Can you explain?
Sure. So I just want to make it clear, it's not like we're gonna lift the bag for you, but I can assist you to do it, right? So it's not our job in the end, I know we are cabin crew, flight attendants, but people, they have this idea that we should do it for them, which is not true, because in case something happens to us, like a back injury, it's very hard for us to recover after it, right?
And we're
And
not covered for it, actually. We're
we are
not
not
covered
covered.
in case you have a back injury from lifting bags.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's not your job, it's not your duty to lift somebody's
True.
bag. So
Yes.
it's not part of the cabin crew duty by any means.
Yes.
And passengers, they don't understand that, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes you can have some issues just because of that.
Imagine on a during like in a busy flight, 50 passenger ask you to do this. You cannot manage. Honestly, it's your health, right? So we it's not like we don't want to do it, but we can assist you. Honestly, especially for the elderly passengers or the pregnant women or people who cannot reach the overhead storage.
Right. And many times I see, for example, many of my colleagues. I mean, obviously you're taller, for example, right? But I have many of my colleagues, right, female cabin crew that are a bit shorter or more tiny, right?
Right.
Maybe they're at the limit of the height accepted for the job itself, so they're at the limit, and it's really hard for them to take the 30 kilo, I don't know, 10 kilo to 15 kilo bag and just put it on the hat rack. And sometimes it's really funny, and I don't know, the disconnect is just so weird. You can see the passenger, he's like a big guy asking the small little flight attendant to put his oversized bag in the hat rack, and I'm like, what? Like, how? Come on. Like, come on, bro. Like,
I know
seriously,
what you
how is
mean.
that possible? Like, that's not real. That cannot be real.
But I will ask my colleagues to help me, to assist me as well. So I have to do it because it delays the boarding. So our main reason is to like to board very fast. Everybody sit down, close the door, and go. We
Yeah.
cannot afford delays, right?
Yeah, correct.
So I'm trying my best to manage. That's why I'm always sitting on the aisle and help everyone and show them and point them the seat. Like, that's your seat. You can have seat. But a funny thing for me that happens, maybe for you as well. So they are showing me the boarding pass, and I'm seeing the seat number. So I'm going with them and show and point. Okay, that's your seat. And then they just look up to see again if that's the number. I was like, why you don't believe me? That's
Yeah.
my job. I'm here. You don't trust me. Why?
Yeah.
Why I would lie to you?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, in regards to bags, for example, I'm a bigger guy and I can put them quite easily. But yeah, passengers, sometimes it's really hard for them to relate to the aircraft itself.
Yeah.
Like many of them, they haven't been before on an aircraft, probably so, or have limited experience with the with what's happening on the plane, and then sometimes they cannot even know where the lavatory is, the toilet.
Yeah, the toilet lavatory.
That's an interesting subject for cabin crew. But yeah, we're there to assist, obviously, but it's just interesting to notice those differences. And I would say at the end of the day is normal, kind of. I mean, nobody should be like. I mean, everybody has a beginning somewhere, right? A beginning stage. Okay, maybe I'm flying for the first time, and obviously I need some help, and it's completely fine.
Is part of your duty, or do you like to do it like, as you said, is someone's first flying with your airline, or maybe first flight in their life?
Yeah.
Are you guys doing on board like moments for that passenger in case you are finding out this is the first flight? Sometimes me, I'm engaging with the passengers like, hi, how was your day? It's like amazing, that's my first time flying with you. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So we go and do for them like a special cake with the flowers, take pictures. Do you guys have this on board?
That's very nice. So Emirates has that, I know. We have it as well in Etihad, yes, but I would say maybe not to that level, but we still do quite a bit of attention towards that. We consider that, let's say, maybe an extra drink, a small cake, as you said, some extra dessert, things of this nature. Yeah, I think it makes a difference to the overall experience of a passenger, right? And yeah, I think it's very, very good, very positive. People going for their honeymoon as well, right? We also have that. Hey, let's give them some champagne. It's some small details that matter for our passengers, and I think that's very cute and nice and sweet to be able to do that, to be able to provide that experience, right, for them. Yeah.
Even for us, we try our best, honestly, every time when it comes to honeymoons, birthdays, or maybe first time flying. It's a special moment for them which they will never forget, right? So it's nice to make these nice moments for someone, unexpected ways, because they don't expect like never, right?
Yes,
Especially if they never flew or they had fly to like a lower cost airline, you know.
yes,
It's
yes,
quite
exactly.
different experience with us. I think this is the moments that I really love in my job. You know, my favorite part of my job is with the kids, you know, with the girls. I love to give them my hat. You know, our hat is very special
Oh
in
yeah, the
Emirates
Emirates hat, the red hat,
with
of
the red
course.
hat and the white veil, you know. You know, it's a story for our hat that with the red and the veil, it has seven pleats, which represents seven Emirates, you know. So it's very amazing how they created. And the girls, when are coming on board, even adults, you know, like ladies, they really want to try. So before, let's say, after I remove my hat on after boarding, or I put my hat before landing, people are watching me with so much, like they look so amazed to me when I'm putting my red hat and I have my veil and the way I fold it and everything. So I look in their eyes and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it to you now. You're gonna take a picture. I was like, would you like to try it? I was like, yes, of course. And honestly, this is my favorite moment on board, that I really love to do my job,
Hmm.
to try the red hat. I think it's amazing for them and also for the kids. It's very special.
I think for Emirates cabin crew, that hat makes the difference. Like that hat is the centerpiece of that uniform in Emirates. Like it's so recognizable, you know.
Yeah,
It's so since the 90s onwards. I think that has been like the staple for Emirates cabin crew, the red hats. Obviously, the male cabin crew, they don't have that, right? They
yeah,
have just
right.
the tie and
Yeah.
the suit and everything, and kind of a similar story in Etihad Airways. Um,
I want to ask you,
yes, please.
your girls from Etihad are jealous on our hat or no?
Sometimes I think they also like their own uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always a bit of a comparison between Etihad uniforms and Emirates uniforms, but definitely it is not as recognizable as the red hat that has become a staple in aviation, let's say. But yeah, it depends on the people what they like most. Some people they go for Etihad Airways as a cabin crew just because they prefer the uniform. Some people they go for Emirates because they like the uniform more. So at the end of the day, it's personal preference. But yeah, I personally know a lot of crew that applied for the job itself just
Just
because
for the
they have,
hat.
they like the hat or they like a certain piece of the uniform. So it's very interesting. Um, in comparison to, okay, I should apply for this job because I think the benefits are more or whatever. But no, it's all about the uniform,
Well,
right?
I'm just a girl. I love the hat. I want a picture on my Instagram with the red hat, right? I'm
Correct,
just a simple
correct.
girl.
Yes,
Honestly, I saw Etihad. You know, we have the flights, I think London Heathrow and Manchester. Sometimes we match on the timing.
yes, many times.
And
Yeah,
one time I was in the bus at the security in the airport and I saw Etihad crew there and I was like, hello, hi. You know, I'm a very big fan of Etihad. So when I see our planes like parked next to each other, I'm always taking pictures. I was like, oh my God, look, Etihad and Emirates together. I think
yeah.
such a lovely picture, honestly. It's nice when we support each other and we encourage. There is no competition between us, right? I don't believe it. I don't see it that way. Honestly, I heard some people know they're in a competition, but I don't know what competition, you know.
Right, right.
But I love it when I see Etihad the airplane. I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
I think one thing that probably our viewers don't are not aware about that. Whenever we arrived with the two planes right in the airport, let's say we have at London Heathrow two Airbus A380s parked, and then the cabin crew will race to the gates which one is the first to pass the gates, because then all the other crew will wait after the first airline. So it is a competition about who gets to go to the hotel first from the
Yeah,
airport, I
that's
would say.
true.
In that regard there is definitely a competition, but otherwise no, otherwise there's no competition. But
Yeah.
yeah, you want to be the first to the gate just because you want to go to your hotel room faster, I guess.
Yeah, I know after a long flight, imagine that's the best thing you can do, to go to your bed and sleep
Exactly,
15 hours, honestly. You know, the people think when we are
exactly.
going when we are going in our layover, we're gonna do tours, go out. I used to do these things when I was in my first year. Now, after these years, I'm very tired. I'm just sitting in my hotel. What about you? You are still having fun in your layovers, or you just take your time for the duty and rest?
I think it depends on the amount of time you have in the layover, first of all. If you have a layover that's one day only, let's say 24 hours or maybe 30 hours, it can be a bit difficult to go out and do all those things and also get enough sleep in order to be rested for your return sector going back to Dubai, right? But if you have a 2 day layover, a 3 day layover, that just makes it much more easier to go out and, to live your life in that layover during those days and not be so constrained about time. um, but oftentimes it just depends. I would say if I have a layover in a city and we are in the middle of the city, we're in the city center, right? Our bus drops off at our hotel in the city center, then okay, you can have your nap and then you can go out. It's very easy to go out, right?
Right.
You just walk out of the hotel, you visit things around, you go to a coffee shop, whatever. But if many times we have like airport hotels sometimes,
Right.
right? And then you have to take like 2 buses and a train to get to the city center, I don't know, in Vienna or something, then it's so much it's much more difficult to be able to do so. So you oftentimes say, okay, I cannot be bothered, I just want to rest this layover, I'll just stay in the hotel, I'll maybe go to the gym, I'll have my coffee, and I'll go to sleep back again before the flight. So it really depends. It really depends on your circumstances. Many crew, they make the extra effort, they try to go out all the time in all their layovers, and then they get sleep deprived. It has to be a balance, I think you can agree. For me, after 8 years, it has to be a balance, right? So I go out, but I have to get my sleep as well.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm just ruining my sleep patterns, and it gets from bad to worse. So I would say in this job, if you want to last a long time, sleep is the most important thing. It sounds boring, I'm like a grandfather, but it is
It's
what it
very
is, Yeah,
important.
absolutely.
As you said, I think 90% of the time we are living in the hotel, like in the airport, which is like 35, 50 kilometers away from the city. So it's not worth it to go with the train or change the buses or take a Uber, which is super expensive, honestly, in some European cities, just to
Exactly.
go out. Because in the end of the day, our layover is still part of the duty, right? So it's good for you, for your own safety and passenger safety as well, to be well rested and be aware and alert, in alert phase on the aircraft. So I believe sleep is very important. Even for me, after 3 years, I'm already like a grandma.
Many hours of lacking sleep is also damaging to your body. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy job, actually. I mean,
I wanted to ask
overall,
you, do you think it's a healthy job? Like after all this year, what's the bad, you know, benefits after this job?
again, it's about adjustment, right? This is the best you can do. So you have to always adjust, because think about it. First of all, your sleeping patterns are messed up. You jet lag every couple of days. Probably you end up going somewhere and you have a jet lag, right?
Right.
Or you're in the jet lag perpetually and constantly, and you never get rid of it. That's also a thing. And then you have the fact that you are contained within a tube at 38,000 feet for several hours, which it has a lot of electromagnetic fields and all of that stuff. That's also not healthy. Now, of course, this is a bit of a conspiracy theory, but it is. Think about it. You are there in a metal tube with all the wires and all the electricity going through and all of those things. Also, less oxygen, more radiation, all of those things, right? Together in a tube for hours and hours. That cannot be healthy.
Yeah, that cannot be
That cannot,
healthy.
it's impossible, right? That cannot be healthy. And long term, I think it can be damaging. For example, I've been working for 8 years, but I'm thinking sometime soon to shift my job, to change my job. So that might happen. And I think the only reason is because I just want to be a bit more stable in my life, and maybe go towards a bit more of a health approach, right? Because also one of the things is you're jet lagged and you're sleep deprived. That also leads to cravings. I have sweet cravings. I like
Same.
sweets. I want to, it's so weird. At 2 a.m. I'll order some talabat, as we have here in Dubai and Abu
Yeah.
Dhabi. We have talabat, we have Deliveroo, all those apps. And in 20 minutes, they come with your order just like this. In 20 minutes. People, they don't know UAE is so accessible, right? You
Yes.
order something, it comes immediately. And it's just, sometimes that's not good. I mean,
Sometimes, yeah.
it it's super accessible, but it can be a reply, a good reply to all your cravings. And mm,
Mm.
I love sweets. I don't know what's happening with me in the past 2 years, but it's like my body's reacting, like it's just craving for sweets and for bad junk food sometimes, and I give in sometimes. And I know it's not good, it's not healthy, it's not the way I should approach things. I think probably it has to do with the job itself. Maybe there's a component to it.
But as you said, you want to shift your work, right? Do you think after resigning and have like a normal job, like Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, would you, how's gonna be after? Would you gonna adapt? And are you gonna miss it? Because our lifestyle, I know it's a bit chaotic, honestly, and it has ups and downs. Uh, but how do you think it's gonna be afterwards? Like imagine now you are here, tomorrow you are in Australia, then you go back to Europe, you have your, little shops, your specific shopping centers, you want to go do grocery. You have habits in each corner of the world now. How do you think it's gonna be after?
Yes, it can be a bit daunting, and it's a big change, right? From traveling all over the world to just being in one workplace and working an office job. That cannot be easy. That cannot be easy. And I know many people that did it, and they changed their job and they shifted, and it was a bit depressing. It was a bit depressing because they're used to a certain lifestyle before, and now everything changed. And change is hard, right? Change is hard. Um, I think I could manage, but I will definitely miss the job. That's what I know for sure. That's what I know for. How about you?
Me too. I'm not thinking it to resign. I still love what I'm doing and I want to keep it for a few more years at least. But same, I will miss it because I already have my lifestyle. I have my habits. I have right now. I have US visa. So it's very rare for us to do Australian flights now. And I have in Australia some certain shops. Or my skincare is only from Australia. I cannot find it
The
anywhere in the
skincare
world.
routine, yay!
Skincare routine. And now I'm just thinking, and my last flight was in Brisbane 2 weeks ago, and I was just walking alone on the street and being a bit nostalgic. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss this place. I'm gonna see it very rare from now because I'm gonna operate US flights.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I realized when I'm gonna lose this job, how I'm gonna feel, because it's a tough job, as you said, but it has its good parts. Imagine all the memories and all the good things that happen between you and the passenger and your colleagues, memories that nobody can take it from you, right? It's gonna stay with you the whole life. Uh, the little moments on board for me, I have a list on my phone. Every time when I'm doing something, I'm writing notes on my phone about these moments because I don't want to forget them. And it's something that honestly I'm proud of it because I did it and I have the courage to come from Romania and work for this job. Last time when we talked, I told you that it was my first flight of my life when I
Right.
came to Dubai.
Right.
I never flew before, so imagine now sometimes I'm on the plane, we're on the cruise stage and I'm just realizing like, wow, I'm doing this job, I'm working in the air. I'm just realizing because it's crazy when you think about it. Like, some people they have their office view from their office and this maybe you see Burj Khalifa, from outside. But me, I'm seeing the whole world, and how the sky is, in all the colors. I will never see this. Or sometimes we are parked on the airport and the door is closed and we have a remote stairs.
Mhm.
And I'm just sitting on the door frame and I'm looking to all the airports and the plane landing, takeoff, departure at the same time. And I'm like, it's amazing, this job. It's very amazing. And I'm gonna miss it for sure.
Yeah, likewise. I can relate to that. It gives you that feeling of home away from home,
Yeah, home away from home.
a second home in the airplane as well.
Yeah, that's our second home. I really spend more time, I think, in the plane than home. But
It
I
is.
love it. I love it. I've learned so many things from this job, and before I wasn't type of person being patient, and I learned so much patience and customer service. And I'm so proud because Emirates teach us how to deal with passenger and to have this cosmopolitan mindset, and they make us aware of everything because there were things I didn't know.
Was it a 777?
No, my first flight
Yeah.
was 380. I love
Which
380.
plane? 380, you like it more than the
I love
777, right?
380.
Okay.
I know people say, especially crew, if it's not Boeing, I'm not going. But I don't like to work in Boeing.
That's an old saying, yeah.
I know, but people still say it.
For sure, for sure.
But I love A380. I think it's more modernized. It's like more technical. You know, it has all the system automatic. It's
More
very
crew
easy,
friendly, maybe as
more
well.
crew friendly. I wanna ask you something. I'm really curious because I don't know.
Sure.
So you know, I'm a very big fan of you on Instagram and your
Yeah.
content. I'm always watching what you're doing in Etihad, and I know you are the image of Etihad, right? You are on their like official marketing, promoting, and everything that comes to Etihad, right? So I saw that you were part of the Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise, and I've seen some Instagram reels, and I was like, oh my god, that's so awesome. So I really wanted to hear the story, how it happened, how was it, were you part of it in certain ways?
Yeah, so about that Mission Impossible movie, and it's I'm basically part of the promotional team in Etihad. That means we're doing events, right? So
Okay.
the cabin crew has to be present at certain events. For example, now we opened 2 new destinations in India, and I was there, just to support the event itself, and you basically showcasing the cabin crew at those events, right? So we have to look nice and be nice and interact with people and all kind of things. Sometimes we do social media content for the official channels of Etihad, in your case Emirates, right? So those are the events teams. And yeah, I was part of this the movie with Tom Cruise. We shoot there for like 2 weeks, and it was actually during the end of COVID period, so we still have to wear mask between sets and all of these things, and it was a bit daunting. And you have to sit on the set the whole day, and you may not be cold. And maybe for a week we were there, we were not cold at all. We're just sitting on the set. We're just like waiting. We're on standby, but we
Okay.
have to be there. So
Okay.
it's very interesting to see a movie production like of that nature. And we were shooting the Zayed airport, now the Abu Dhabi airport, the new terminal A, which back then it was not opened yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
was just a setup for the movie.
correct. It was a
I
setup for the
wanted to
movie.
ask you because
Yeah,
I've seen the movie. Of course, I'm a huge fan of the Mission Impossible series. So
right.
I've seen the setup, and it was that scene when Tom Cruise was walking in the airport. So I know it was for promoting the
Yes,
airport, right,
yes,
in
yes, yes.
Abu Dhabi. And I thought it was like kind of real, you know?
No,
No,
it, it
so it
it
was
felt very
close.
real. Like we had so
Oh,
many people
okay.
around us, and there were people. I don't know how they call it. I think the background
Yeah,
people, whatever, the
yeah,
background crews,
yeah.
and we were part of the background crews. That's why I was there, because you need cabin crew walking the airport and pilots walking the airport as well. So then we had this shots, and it was very interesting to see a full scale movie. We had cranes with the cameras everywhere in the airport itself. And
Wow.
at a certain point they say, okay, 3 2 1 shoot, whatever. I don't even know the call outs anymore. But it was super interacting and super cool to see such a huge production from our perspective, right?
Wow.
And we have to follow their callouts. We have to follow their orders. Let's say at a certain point, background go, and then we go. And then the movie happens. Tom Cruise walks past us,
Did you
and
see him?
yeah, of course, he talked to
No
us. Yeah, Tom
way.
Cruise talked to us. Yeah, he was very kind to us. Always after the movie, applause, good job, guys, thank you very much, and so on
Wow,
and so
that's
forth. That happened a few
amazing.
days. Yeah, so after the shootings, he will thank you, and things of this nature. I saw a clip of Tom Cruise a while back, and he was angry because of COVID. Like something happened during a previous set, and he yelled at people. I don't know about that, to be honest. That was in the media, but with us, he was very, very nice and very kind and very thankful for us being there. I think I appear in half a second in the movie. I'm not sure. I was in the background all the time, and at the point we were boarding the aircraft, and the actors were coming in the aircraft, and I was boarding. I was checking their tickets, but the camera didn't zoom in on me,
Oh,
just my
okay.
hands or something. So it's very interesting. Like, and you have so many hours of shooting those movies, but in the end maybe you have 2 seconds out of it. So it's very interesting to see such a large scale production and what's happening during those scenes. It was a super exciting, let's say,
Such an
experience.
experience.
Yeah, an experience for me, and yeah, I'm really grateful for that. We were there like 2 weeks, and they put
Wow.
us in a hotel close to the airport, so we cannot be in our own accommodations in Abu Dhabi. We have to sit close to Terminal A. So we had an airport a hotel in Yas Island, and this is how we shoot for that movie. So that's a cool experience, and it was a lot of people as well. There were lots of people, so I can only imagine the amounts of money you can spend on
Yeah.
a movie like this and
I mean,
movies
the
in
time,
general.
the effort,
Yes, yes, yes.
the mind behind everything that's happening there. But I'm so happy for you. It was such an amazing experience. Honestly, I would love to be part of this project.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But I guess that's one more thing about living in UAE, Abu Dhabi or Dubai, or just living around this area, is you have access to so many things that's happening constantly, and all those different events and all those different opportunities. Today you might be doing one thing, tomorrow you might be in a movie. So that can happen. That is part of the landscape in UAE, I guess. And I think it's a very positive and cool place to be generally. Lots of opportunities. It's so important in life to have opportunities, right?
Yeah, it's very important. And I think UAE gives you that, honestly. I think it's the best place in the world that you can have this type of opportunities. You never know. Something can come like in just a second, right?
Yes.
So, as you said, would like after you're gonna change the job or something, are you thinking to stay in Abu Dhabi or come to Dubai, or you want to go back to Romania?
So right now I'm actually in between some things. So I'm considering some things. In case I was to stay here in UAE, I would like to spend more time here. That can be the case. That will be the first option actually. Because to be honest, I love UAE. I really like it here, and to be able to have a bit of a more stable job, maybe think about a family at a certain point. Like those things are kind of important. It's hard to do so when you're traveling nonstop. So I think that will be just the next step. But otherwise, going back home to Romania also is a very good option for me at the moment. We have a small family business back in Romania, so that wouldn't be a problem. Like I'll be fine, let's say. Just that I might miss UAE. I might miss the life out here. I might miss certain things that I got used to out here. And it's hard to replace those, right?
It's very hard. For me, UAE, it's my second home. I found it so welcoming, and I was able to adapt. Like after 2 weeks, I moved here. It
Yeah.
was very easy for me to come here, and I felt like home here. And honestly, I'm not ready to go back to Romania now. I still like it. I love it. I love to live in Dubai. The lifestyle, the systems, the leaders, of our country. I think it's amazing place to live, especially at the young age.
Hmm.
So for me, it's still home, and it's gonna be home for many years from now.
That's the most important thing. Yeah. It's weird because most of us living here in UAE, most of us, right? What's over 80% of expats, we have two homes. If you think about it, like we have our home, which is back home in our home country where we're from, you and me and everybody else. But then you have the home that's here, the present home. So it's very weird. We all have two homes, right? And sometimes you don't know where you belong. I guess it's part of the process.
Honestly, I think even this job takes you on a certain paths in life, and then you're gonna discover yourself even more. Even for me, like I don't know, all my customer service skills and my ability to talk with people. And, sometimes I'm just standing there in front of 500 people on the safety video, and before I used to be shy and everything, like, oh my God, why these people are looking at me? Now I feel so confident, there is nothing uncomfortable for me nowadays. So it really helped me and shaped me, just, I think I grew up, honestly, with this job.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a new perspective and opens you up to things, and makes you more I wouldn't say extrovert, but it just makes you more comfortable.
Yeah. I believe I can make everything now after this job.
Yeah, you're on the stage,
I'm on the
right?
stage. I would like to ask you, if someone wants to become a cabin crew, what's the advice for them?
Um, I would say first of all, it has to come from within. Like becoming a cabin crew, it's not an easy task, and sometimes people say, "Oh, I want to become a cabin crew, but I'm only 160 centimeters tall and stuff like that." Some things are native. It's just the way it is. First of all, the looks in the looks department, this is not mentioned in the requirements of the job, but it's very important. The way you present yourself to an interview, it's very important. The way you have your hair fixed and all of those things, your makeup as a girl, and the way you have your hair in a bun, like all those things matter. Your height matter, the way you look matter a lot. And this is not only applying for a cabin crew job, but also in life. So people have to understand that, okay, how does a cabin crew look like? I want to emulate that. I want to try to emphasize that. I want to try to be like them, first of all, right?
You're right.
I think that's very important. And also afterwards, you can consider, of course, the requirements, which are very important, customer service oriented, and have to have high school diploma and a good English. Okay, I don't have a good English. Improve it.
Right.
What's the problem? Improve your English.
Yeah,
like
sure.
there's so many things that people can change and they can do to work towards their goals, but oftentimes they don't do it, and then they say, "Oh, but I'm not good enough." But be better, get better. So it's a self-improvement kind of process, and I think before applying, you have to consider that, and you have to strive towards that, right? And yes, there's a list of requirements on the company website of those airlines, Qatar, Emirates, Etihad. You just have to meet those requirements. And if you meet those requirements and the recruiters like the way you show yourself, the way you present yourself in front of them, then you will get the job. And it's simple as that. Yeah, sometimes it can be luck as well. I'm not saying no, it can be luck. Luck is a component.
Yeah, it's true.
But if you are going well prepared to those interviews, I think you will eventually succeed. What do you think?
I believe same. As you said, when you go to an interview, I remember my day. I was there. It was like 70 girls.
Yeah.
And in the first, I didn't want to go because I didn't feel confident. As you said, even my English or maybe the way I looked back then, I didn't feel that confident. But thanks to my friend, she really encouraged me to go and do the interview. And look at me, I was accepted. I'm working for the best airline in the world right now. And I was traveling the whole world and gave me so many opportunities along the way. But of course, the way you show yourself to the world, especially when you want to work for these huge airlines, is very important because they want to be the best and they deserve to be the best, honestly, because they work so hard and they invest so much in us. Because the training that we have and all the timing and the support that we have from them, it's huge. I believe, I don't know how it's in Etihad, but in Emirates we are very spoiled, about accommodation, even salary. It's a good income. The layovers that the hotels we stay, it's really good hotels. We have like four stars hotel. We don't have very bad environment that we stay in our duty.
5 stars sometimes you have as well, of course.
I don't want to be fancy. I'm
You
trying
can
to keep
it,
it
it's fine.
humble.
Exactly.
But yeah, I believe this is the true key element for everyone. Even as I said, your English, it has to be at a certain level, and if it's not, you have to improve it and get better. Because even me, I didn't know when I first came here. I was learning like thousands of words every week just to learn because I didn't know about aviation terms or medical terms. So I was just using my Google Translate. Even now, sometimes I think it's a thing of courage in the same time, because sometimes people are scared to do it. The first step, they are scared that they will do a mistake or they will not pronounce the words in a very good way.
Yeah.
But you just have to do it. If you don't do it and try it, then you cannot thrive it, right? So even after 3 years living here, and English is like my main language, because we speak here every day. If I don't know something, I will ask you. And if you don't know how to tell me, I'm going to use Google Translate or something, and I will deal with it and I will learn from it. That's our, human being nature, that we have to go and get better and better with everything in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. One of the things that let's say the other airlines are jealous about the Emirates crew nowadays is for the past 2 years, you got bonuses, like proper bonuses. So guys, if you like bonuses, go to Emirates cabin crew, right?
Everyone was talking about us for the last 2 years. Even official pages like Loving Dubai, they have news regarding our bonus. We never talk honestly about it, and sometimes we don't even know. We are the last one who finds out that we have. It happened this year. I saw a story on the Loving Dubai. Oh, Emirates cabin crew, they got the bonus. I was like, really? We get the bonus?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even know,
yeah.
and people were gossiping, but. I think we deserve it honestly, the way we work and our schedule, and the hard times we've been through, and just being far from home is it's paid off.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
imagine it's very risky for us. Imagine you go on a plane and god forbid you don't know if you come back. This is the truth, anything can happen.
Statistically, you do come back, but I can feel, I can feel what I understand what you're saying. Yes,
No, but
yes, yes.
it's very risky job in the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah, it is. It is.
In the end, you are in a metal tube, but 38,000 feet, anything can happen. That's the truth. Of course, we take very big pride with the engineers and our captains that they maintain for the maintenance of the aircraft, and they have their checks before. The safety is the first thing for us.
Hmm.
But you never know. It's a machine after all, right? It's a
Yeah.
computer. Something can go wrong, and that's it. I have this thing, it's just my thing. I know it's a bit, soft, but usually when we go to Australia or Canada or US, this is very long flights, or sometimes we go to New Zealand, which is the 17 hours flight.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a
I know
crazy
it's the
amount of
longest
hours.
flight,
Yeah.
17 hours going there, 17 hours going back. I have these things. I take a picture of myself in the uniform and I send it to my mom, and I say to her like, I love you. I'm going on the flight just in case I'll not come back.
Oh my God.
I know it's
That's so weird.
I know, but I'm doing this because I know it's a long flight, but everything can happen. Especially, I'm a bit nervous. Imagine even me as a cabin crew when we are over the sea, because in case something happens, but not something technical, but maybe a medical. Maybe there is a medical case. Someone is having a heart attack, or you never know, is choking or has like a allergy reaction.
Yeah.
It's very hard for us to land. There is no airport for the next
You're
2 3
miles away
hours.
from the
Yeah,
next air, like a lot of
exactly. So
hours away,
it
actually.
just makes me stressed sometimes.
Mhm.
Not every flight, because sometimes we're so busy and caught up on the service that we even forget. I cannot even feel 17 hours flight. Actually, this 17 hours flight to Auckland, I think for me is the most easiest flight.
Wow.
It's so fast for me. I just know, oh, we have 3 services, we do this and that. That's it, we land.
That's like the longest flight, I think,
Yes, to Auckland.
in Emirates. Yeah.
Dubai to Auckland.
I think in Etihad we just have like the 15-hour now. I don't know, US flights or something around
Okay.
15 hours, but nothing more than that at the moment. So Emirates 17 hours, New Zealand. That's a long flight, Dubai to New Zealand.
Well, thank you so much, Alex, for your time today. Thank you for being on my second episode from our Galley FM.
Yay.
Hooray. I would like to thank to my sponsors, Catalin Mureșan from Romanian Cruise and Ana Maria from Emirates Cabin Crew, and also our main sponsor, Aroma Studio Dubai. In case you want to be part of our podcast, just give us an email. It's going to be attached below the clip. We're going to come back to you as long as we say call bell.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And thank you for having me on your
Thank you so
podcast,
much.
Alexandra.